Good afternoon, everyone. It is Tuesday, May 5th, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this afternoon edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this afternoon, so let's begin. First up, COVID-19 in New Hampshire, what you need to know, important information. Let's take a look. And here's a look at that COVID-19 in New Hampshire information. There are 2,588 number of people in New Hampshire have tested positive for COVID-19. 1,177,784 number of people in the United States who have tested positive. 86 number of deaths from COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 286 number of people who have been hospitalized with COVID-19 in New Hampshire. And 68,442 number of deaths from COVID-19 in the United States. This map of New Hampshire shows you where cases of COVID-19 are in towns and cities of New Hampshire. In Fitzwilliam, 1 to 4 cases of COVID-19. In this chart here, new cases each day in New Hampshire in the purple, daily new positive COVID-19 cases in the orange, new hospitalizations, and in the red are the deaths. Current cases in the purple, current COVID-19 cases in the orange, current hospitalizations. And cumulative totals in the purple, total positive COVID-19 cases in the orange, total hospitalizations in the red, deaths, and in the blue, recovered. This chart here shows you by age group. This chart here shows you by female and male. And this chart here shows you risk information. This chart here shows you race/ethnicity of cases, and this chart here shows you percent of New Hampshire population. Your common symptoms: fever, lack of smell, cough, and chills, and difficult breathing. How it spreads, and prevention tips. Stay with the Riley King Network for the latest of COVID-19 information. New Hampshire cities, towns struggle with lost revenue during COVID-19 pandemic. Local officials hope for more federal aid. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
These are truly challenging times, but New Hampshire companies are here and open for business.
One thing the corona...
Yes, this is going to be a hard hit for towns and cities.
The New Hampshire Municipal Association says the towns and cities they're talking with are seeing big expenditures now and more in the future.
58% of those who had responded said they were already seeing revenue shortfalls, and that was just 6 weeks into the state of emergency.
The COVID-19 pandemic is forcing some municipalities to spend more money on police, fire, and health departments, securing personal protective equipment, technology, and welfare services. Meanwhile, they're losing revenue in the areas of vehicle registrations, parking, and anticipating losses when it comes to property taxes. Manchester's mayor says the Mall of New Hampshire submitted a forbearance request for property taxes, and she expects more to follow.
We probably will get some requests, and those are taken on a case-by-case basis.
Manchester has already implemented a hiring freeze for non-essential employees, and this week, Nashua is doing the same.
If it's not essential, then we will defer the hire in an effort to save not only salary, but also benefit costs during this period of uncertainty.
Municipalities will get some relief with the CARES Act, but some are hoping to get more in the future, wanting FEMA to reimburse 100% of the costs associated with overtime rather than the 75%, and they would like the next stimulus package to include direct money for cities and towns.
And both mayors we spoke with said that before the pandemic hit, their economies were doing really well, so that helps them express optimism for the future, while also acknowledging that people are hurting now. Reporting live, Jessica Marin, WMUR News 9.
Okay, there you go on that video and that report. statewide face covering order goes into effect tomorrow in Massachusetts. An executive order that requires the public to wear a face covering while in public when social distancing is not possible goes into effect Wednesday. Governor Charlie Baker signed the order last week that applies to anyone over the age of 3 who is unable to maintain a social distance of 6 feet from another person, whether they are inside or outside. Anyone unable to wear a mask due to medical condition is exempt. The requirement applies to all workers and customers of businesses and other organizations that are open to the public. Baker said face coverings are an easy, critical, important, and essential step to stop or slow the spread of the coronavirus. The public is required to wear a face covering at all times in grocery stores, retail stores, or on public transportation, Baker said. The order also requires anyone who provides or uses any taxi or ride-sharing services or who uses any means of mass public transit. The governor's office said people are discouraged from using medical-grade masks to meet requirements of the order. Medical-grade masks should be received for healthcare workers and first responders, the order said. The order says if a customer refuses to wear a mask or cloth face covering for non-medical reasons, a business may decline entry. The Department of Public Health and local boards of health will enforce the measure with help from local and state police. Anyone violating the order can face a civil penalty of up to $300 per violation, the order says. Dozens of Massachusetts towns had previously adopted face covering requirements for residents and businesses in their towns. Maine communities seek permission to make their own reopening plans. Ellsworth and Lincoln are both sending letters to Governor Janet Mills. Town leaders in 2 communities voted Monday night to send letters to Governor Janet Mills concerning plans to reopen the state. In Lincoln, the town council is seeking and asking the governor to allow businesses, nonprofits, and civil entities to open at their own direction while keeping safety at top priority. In the letter, it says in part, now that the pandemic has worn on and now that our citizens have learned how to protect themselves from the current and future virus attacks, we see that the other damage is taking place. The unintended side effects of consequence. The letter then adds, so now we ask that you weigh the damage Maine is suffering financially, contrasted with and now declining infectious rates. The letter also says Pennsylvania Valley Hospital is struggling because of canceled procedures and people avoiding appointments. The Ellsworth City Council also voted Monday to send a letter to Governor Mills. The City Council chairman says they want to work with the governor on reopening plan that could better suit their community. if we do not have a change in this phase in the approach, we will have people who will lose their livelihood. We will have people who will permanently be impacted for many years to come, said City Council Chairman. Also, he said he is especially worried about the effects on Maine's tourism industry as the summer season approaches. Williston Police Department, first in Vermont to get Comfort K9. The Comfort K9 will help people in traumatic situations. Let's take a listen to that video from my NBC 10, Vermont.
What's the matter?
I heard there were fleas out here.
And ticks. And mosquitoes. Listen up, scaredy cats. We all have K9 Advantix 2 to protect us. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, and mosquitoes, too.
When I first saw him yesterday, I was super excited.
Officers at the Williston Police Department are in love with their cute new recruit.
He's currently 15 pounds, so we're assuming he's going to be quite a large little boy at some point here.
He wants to be around people. He likes people.
Meet K9 Duke and his handler, Officer Matt Cohen.
He is a ball full of fun and joy right now.
This 8-week-old Labrador Retriever doesn't know it yet, but he'll be bringing comfort to people in Williston and beyond as the state's first certified therapy dog serving on a police department.
So he'll be used throughout the community as needed to provide comfort to people during traumatic incidents.
Lieutenant Joshua Moore got the idea at an out-of-state conference and made a lot of phone calls in order to make Duke's arrival possible.
I think being a first in this type of endeavor brings a lot of support from the community.
Fortunately, we were able to grab tons and tons of donations from some very generous people.
Not only was this little guy donated by Boonfield Labradors in New Hampshire, but all of his training is being covered by Thin Blue Line K9 in Williston. Plus, food for his entire life is free from Guy's Farm and Yard.
We're just really happy to help out.
And all of his veterinary care is being donated by Mountain View Animal Hospital in Essex.
And we were just really excited to be able to give back in a way that would make a big difference on the community. Come on!
Cohen expects it'll take about a year to get Duke trained and certified, but until then, he's looking forward to bonding with the town's new top dog.
I think he is going to be a great addition to our police department and a great addition to the town of Williston.
In Williston, Liz Streba, NBC5 News.
Very cool.
Very cute. All week long, NBC5 is teaming up with the Vermont Food Bank for a donation drive. Your donations will benefit.
Okay, there you go on that video and that report. Cute little dog there. Governor of Connecticut, schools to remain closed, distance learning to continue for the rest of the academic year. Let's take a listen to that video from WTNH.com News 8.
Breaking news for you from the governor. He's tweeted out this morning, due to the ongoing pandemic, in-person classes K through 12 schools in Connecticut will remain canceled for the rest of the academic year. We'll hear more from the governor later today.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Governor of Rhode Island expected to give new regulation on wearing face coverings in public today. Also on Tuesday, the Rhode Island Department of Health announced 14 new COVID-19 deaths and 281 new cases. That brings the state total to 9,933 cumulative cases and 355 deaths. There are 327 people currently in hospitals, 89 in ICU, and 62 on ventilators. Providence has the most cases in Rhode Island, with 3,096, and Pawtucket has the second most, with 946. Cranston has the third most, with 564 cases, according to the Rhode Island Department of Health. The governor is also expected to give an update on support network Rhode Island has built for those in quarantine, her spokesperson says. The governor is set to give her daily briefing today at 1 o'clock p.m. Stocks extend rally with Dow up 400 points on hopes of the economy reopening. Stocks rose sharply on Tuesday as investors bet the U.S. economy could start reopening again. Oil prices increased for the fifth straight day. Second day of phone arguments about HIV/AIDS case. The Supreme Court is hearing a second day of arguments by telephone with this audio available live to audience around the world. You can listen live here starting at 10 a.m. Eastern. Monday was Justice's first foray into the setup they settled on because of the coronavirus pandemic. After hearing Tuesday's case, the justice will have 4 scheduled days for arguments and 8 cases remaining. The highest profile cases are scheduled for the next week. That's when the justice will hear cases including President Donald Trump's bid to keep certain financial records private. The justices on Tuesday heard free speech case that has to be with whether certain organizations combating HIV/AIDS abroad to have denounced prostitution to get U.S. taxpayer money. The arguments were by phone because of the coronavirus pandemic. And that does it for this afternoon edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your afternoon, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. Goodbye, everyone.